Just as Environment Minister, Tanya, how concerned are you about this growing level of asbestos that is getting picked up in New South Wales? Again, I just identified that breaking news of 6 new contaminated sites in New South Wales.
Look, of course it's a real concern to have asbestos turning up, particularly in these parks. I think the New South Wales government is managing this extraordinarily well. It's obviously something that was quite unexpected and it's now very widespread. It shows why it's really important to have a tough environmental regulator that can deal with issues like this, and it's one of the reasons that we're establishing a national environment protection agency in Australia. That'll be the first time that there's been a national EPA in Australia. You know, you never know when you've got these sorts of issues to protect human health, to protect the environment, where you actually need a tough cop on the beat.
Yeah, you would expect that there would be more now, though, given how many new sites are popping up.
Yeah, look, it's obviously a huge concern, and I know that there are a lot of parents out there in particular. A lot of this is turning up in parks and school playgrounds and so on. There's a lot of parents who are following this very closely and very carefully, and the New South Wales government they're just doing an extraordinary job testing hundreds of sites, both to work out where the risk is and also to reassure parents and the broader community about the areas that are still safe.
Okay, just a final one. I dived into fashion waste last night. I have to admit that I've not done this before, but I was amazed by the sheer volume of it. Are you about to intervene and slap a levy on the clothing industry?
Look, I've really made clear to the clothing industry that if they don't get their own act into gear, then I will step in and regulate, just as we're doing with packaging at the moment. The amount of waste and the proportion of carbon pollution that comes from the fashion industry is extraordinary. It's about 10% of global carbon emissions come from the fashion industry. It's more than international flights and maritime shipping together. In Australia, the average Australian buys 56 items of clothing every year, and about 250,000 tonnes of fashion waste ends up in our landfill. It costs charities about $18 million a year just to deal with the waste. People donate they're trying to do the right thing. They want to see their garments get a second life. But instead of being sold, some of the cheap stuff just ends up in landfill, and it's a disaster. It can take 500 years for those synthetics to break down.
Oh yeah, no, I was surprised by that, because people feel like they're doing the right thing by taking, the clothes that they don't wear anymore, they send them to the charity. I do that all the time. But then I was surprised to learn that there's too much and it has to get shipped off.
Yeah, look, it depends on the quality of the clothing and whether there's a market for it, right? So the charities are really grateful for the things that they can resell. And of course, we really want to give our garments a second life. It's the right thing that Australians want to recycle, but the sheer volumes that we're talking about mean that charities are overwhelmed, and they're overwhelmed by some of that low quality stuff that then just basically it goes straight to landfill, and it takes, as I say, hundreds of years to break down. When it's breaking down, it's releasing microplastics and poison into the environment. So the message here, of course, is the fashion industry needs to do better, to be more environmentally conscious in the sort of fabrics it's choosing, and making sure that they make things that can be repaired, reused, recycled. And as consumers, we need to be a bit more careful about what we're choosing as well.
Yeah, I found that interesting. Tanya, thank you. We'll talk to you soon.